Hello, welcome back to English with BDM, and I am B. Mandal. I am going to begin a series of videos on different types of transformation of sentences. The first two videos are on the rules for transforming simple sentences to complex ones. We know that a simple sentence has one clause, and a clause must have one finite verb. We can never make a clause without a finite verb. We can never make a simple sentence also without any finite verb. But a complex sentence has one main clause, only one main clause, and at least one subordinate clause. The number of subordinate clauses may be more than one, but there must be one. So when we attempt to transform a simple sentence into a complex one, our main task is to increase the number of clauses. That is to increase the number of finite verbs from 1 to 1 plus 1, at least 2. One principal clause, one of the two clauses will be the principal clause of the complex sentence, and the other one will be the subordinate clause. Now, before we enter into our main task, that is to elaborate, to analyze the rules for changing a simple sentence to a complex one, we must have completely clear idea about the finite verb, about the features of the finite verb. If a verb is not a finite one, it cannot express any clear and complete idea. But to be used as a finite verb, a verb must have three features. Without any one of them, the verb cannot be used as a finite verb, so it cannot be able to make a clause or a sentence. And these three features are: number A, voice; number B, tense; and number C, agreement. The verb is directly connected with and dependent on its subject in regards to voice and agreement. Without a subject, we can never make a finite verb, and also without these three, any of these three, we cannot make a verb finite. So, first, subject. Now, this subject can be either the doer or agent. Doer, agent. And then our voice is active. When the doer or agent is the subject of the sentence, we get the active voice. And when the subject is the recipient, that is the original object of a transitive verb. Original object. Remember that when the original object is used as the subject, we cannot call it an object. It is then subject, but it is the recipient because it receives the effect of the action of the verb. The action of the verb is performed on the recipient. So this is the original object. And then our voice is passive. Passive voice. These are the two main forms of voice: active voice, doer or agent subject; passive voice, recipient, that is the original object, is the subject of the sentence. Now, there is a third kind of voice which seems to be active, but the sense is passive. She grows vegetables in her garden. She grows vegetables in her garden. The subject here, she, is the doer or agent of the action of the verb to grow. So our sentence is in the active voice. Doer subject. So the voice is active. Now we can use the object, the recipient of the verb, as the subject of the sentence when we will get the passive voice. Vegetables are grown in her garden. By her is here redundant, unnecessary. Vegetables are grown in her garden. Here the subject is the original object, that is the recipient of the verb to grow, and so our voice is passive. But if we write or say, vegetables grow in her garden. Garden here means the kitchen garden, kitchen plot or kitchen stress. Here notice that the subject is the doer, the verb is in the active structure, active form. We have added s to the verb because our subject is third person singular number and the tense is present simple. So according to the rule of agreement, according to the basic rule of agreement, the verb, the finite verb of the sentence or of the clause must follow the person and the number of the subject, and that is called agreement. So according to the rule of agreement, we have added s here as the subject is third person and singular number and the tense is present simple and the voice is active. So we can use this form only when we fulfill all these three conditions: voice, tense and agreement. And here the verb structure is passive because our subject here is the original object, so it is passive voice and the verb is in the passive structure, are grown. Now again we have chosen are, not is or am, because our subject is third person plural now. So we have chosen are grown from, is grown, am grown and are grown. Here the verb form is active. We know to make a passive voice verb, we must use the appropriate form of the helping verb to be with the past participle of the principal verb. So this is present simple tense, active voice. But interestingly, intriguingly, our subject is not the doer, but the original object, the recipient of the verb to grow. So though the subject is the original object, the verb is in the active form and it is a correct sentence. And perhaps it is the best one of these three. So here the verb is active in form, but as the subject is the object or recipient, the sense is obviously passive. Active in form, active in sense. Passive in form, passive in form, passive in sense. Active in form but passive in sense. These three are the three forms of voice, but this pattern is not very commonly used. We can use this pattern only in case of a limited number of verbs of which to grow is one. And then tense. Tense, you know, is not only time. Tense has two components. The first one is obviously time. So for example, present continuous tense. Present continuous tense. Or progressive tense. We know that in the active voice, its structure is, or in other words, the three forms of its basic structure are am, is, or are, plus the present participle of the principal verb. We know that present participle is formed by adding ing to the base form of the verb. Flying, writing, sleeping, swimming, flying, etc. Am is a present participle. And in the passive voice, we have to add being. Am being, is being, and are being, plus the past participle of the principal verb. These are the structures, the different forms of the structures in the present continuous tense. In the active voice, we have am, is, are with present participle. In the passive, we have am being, is being, are being with the past participle. Now, so notice that the name of this tense is present continuous, not only present. If we only say present, we cannot make any sentence until we mention the name of a specific tense. That is, the two parts of the tense. Present indicates the time, and this term continuous tells us the state, the condition of the verb, that is, it is now going on. This state of the verb is called aspect. It may be simple or indefinite, it may be continuous or progressive, it may be perfect or it may be perfect continuous. In the last one, we get three words: present, perfect, continuous. Present denotes time, perfect denotes an aspect of completion, and continuous denotes the aspect of continuance. So, the second component is aspect. Indefinite, continuous, perfect, continuous are aspects. And we have three main times: present, past, and future. So when these two combine, we get a specific tense such as present continuous. And then we get the structure or the different forms of the same basic structure. Different forms of the same basic structures. And then finally, we have to choose one from amongst these three, or maybe there are two in the past tense, there are two was and were. In the present perfect, we have to have and has. In the past, we have one. So when there is only one form, we have no problem. There is no question of choosing one. But where there are two or three, we have to choose one. And that final selection, that choice, depends on agreement. That is the person and number of the subject of the verb. Person and number of the subject. So we say the boy is swimming. In the pool. The boy is swimming in the pool. Here, present continuous tense active voice. Its structure, we know, is am, is, or are with ing verb form, present participle. We have chosen is because our subject is third person singular number, and so according to the rule of agreement, we have chosen is. But if the subject is a plural one, the boys are swimming. In the pool. The boys are swimming in the pool. As the subject is now plural, we have to choose the plural form are. If the subject is first person singular number, I, we have to use am. I am now making a video on transformation of sentences. And if the subject is the recipient, we have to choose from among these three. A story is being written by him for the children. A story is being written by him for the children. Here, the subject is the recipient. The action of writing is not performed, cannot be performed by the story. It is being performed by him. So it is in the passive voice. Now we have three forms in the passive voice too. Three forms of the verb. Am being written, is being written, are being written. And you have chosen, we had to choose is being written because our subject is now third person singular number. So these are the features of the finite verb, and we have to have completely clear idea of these features of the finite verb and how to make a verb finite according to this process. And in the next video, I'll be explaining from what sources we can collect the verb for the new clause. As I told you, we cannot make a clause without a finite verb. So first we have to collect a verb from the sentence, because we cannot change the meaning, we cannot alter the meaning in any way, in any kind of transformation, whether from simple to complex or vice versa, from affirmative to negative, from compound to complex, etc. The original meaning must be unchanged, must be intact. So we will see how, from which sources we can get the verbs for the new clauses, and we'll see that this new clause is almost always the subordinate clause of the complex sentence. How we can decide the tense of the new clause, and whether the new clause can be affirmative, a statement, that is a declarative form, or question or imperative form, etc. That will be very interesting. The next video on transformation of sentences from simple to complex. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get early notification of the latest videos. Expecting to meet you soon in the next video. Until then, goodbye.